India and Dubai share one of the most dynamic corridors of trade, investment, and culture. What began as an economic partnership rooted in oil and remittances has evolved into complex future facing relationship spanning finance, technology, infrastructure, and law. But with opportunity comes complexity. From cross border disputes to intellectual property protection, from arbitration centers to regulatory frameworks, the legal profession is at the very heart of shaping how the corridors grow. Today, we are joined by three voices who each represent a different vantage point of this story. Mr. Mahmood Hussain, managing partner of the Dubai's leading international law firms, who brings a global policy driven lens. Mr. Tariq Khan, partner with deep expertise in dispute resolution, who has seen firsthand how cross border frictions play out in arbitration and litigation. And Mr. Raghav Kacker, a young founder who straddles both Dubai and India and whose practice in IPR and innovation reflects the new industries powering this partnership. So let's get straight into it. To begin with this discussion, I want to understand from each one of you, how do you see India-Dubai legal corridor evolving right now? So, Dr. Hussain, if you can
I
start
think
with this.
it's a very interesting story actually, because you have after signing a comprehensive partnership agreements, the amount of trade went to 80 billion or 84 billion, and it was concluded in 84 days. So basically, it's mean the trust between the two nations. Now, this is one element. That's a big number, and after 1 year we reached 84 billion amount of the trade. But however, there is a transformation in the relationship. It's become more a strategic partnership than selling good and product to each other. For example, we started to build different ecosystem for the business. So it's built on visions, shared vision. The shared vision between UAE leadership and Indian leadership is that we have shared value, which is innovation, entrepreneurship, and global connectivity. Dubai and UAE can act as a hub or a gateway for Indian product, talent, and the growth. India, on the other hand, can be the powerhouse of talent, business, innovation, entrepreneurship. So all of those elements, if you put them together, it's mean global connectivity. It's mean that we give a channel, a gateway for Indian talent, Indian innovation, and historically. And this, the relationship built on a trust, culture understanding. So basically, it's easier for us to navigate that. And that's why we were very successful to negotiate and execute the CEPA agreement, or Comprehensive Economic Partnership between two nations. And even the name is a different, it's a unique name. It's mean that we are friends and we have built a long history of trade, friendship, and understanding.
Right. Tariq, what's your
Yeah,
point?
I think I completely agree with what Dr. Mahmood has said. Apart from the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement and other BITs, which our Honorable Prime Minister signed last year, I think the relationship and the culture is very similar. So last year we hosted, Dr. Mahmood and I, we did one thing called India MENA Summit, where we wanted to bridge the legal landscape, because that's been his vision. And Dr. Mahmood has always been telling me that, look, we need our people, our Indian brothers to come, sisters to come and argue before the IFC courts, because it's common law. Why are we not promoting that talent? So the whole idea is to really connect, because for the longest time there was nobody interested in bridging this gap. So I think I am seeing that shift, because a couple of our counsels who are very competent, as good as any other barristers in the world, Indian lawyers registering themselves, getting rights of audience. And I think something that's a start. And that's where Dr. Mahmood has been trying to fill that gap and bridge that connect. And we are all trying to move in that direction. And hopefully we'll see a lot of us being, in Dubai or moving there.
Great, great. Raghav, what's your view on
No,
that?
I think they pretty much summed it up. Is add one thing. So I feel that India initially used to be trade first with Dubai. Now, when you're only trading, it's a zero-sum game. You don't add value. I mean, you're selling cheap, buying cheap, selling expensive. It's just the same cycle that continues. Now it's more of a rules and rights partnership. So they've understood that you have to build an IP economy from the IPR perspective, because IP really creates wealth for people. So a lot of my clients and general business owners who are happy, having their IP registered in Dubai, because the less bureaucratic red tape, and from there, expanding. Because I think Dubai is a global hub when it comes to marketing products, and I think there's no better place than that. So I think that change is very important, because instead of being trading partners, now we're becoming one ecosystem, and people are very comfortable, I think more comfortable in having their companies in Dubai, because there's DAVSA, there's DIFC, there's DMCC, there's so much of potential there, and I think that's the way to go. I think it's a huge change.
But perfect. Dr. Hussain, as we are talking about India-Dubai legal corridor and their relations, but there are certain challenges which Indian businesses are facing while setting up their businesses in Dubai. Can you just throw light on this?
Yeah, there is always difficulties and challenge because the regulatory environment in India is different than UAE.
Okay.
And UAE is built on a civil law, common law, and Sharia law. So basically, you need to navigate this complexity. It's a different complexity when you
Do
come
you
in.
think it's closed and they're not accepting Indian businesses?
I don't think. I think if you go to UAE, look, you have 3.5 million Indian residing over there, and this is they have contributed historically, and they will continue to contribute to the economic development of UAE. They are trader, they are businessmen. My neighbors were Indians. The traders, we bought from them, and they become families and friends. So basically, I don't think there is any. I think the familiarity with the system need people from the two jurisdiction to collaborate. Now, when you have Indian lawyers practicing in UAE, understanding what is difference between common law, civil law, and Sharia law, then they will become familiar, and then they will advise the right advice to their client. Same thing would be from us to coming more to India, understanding Indian legal system and legal framework and how they operate. And that's with that, when familiarity will help us to navigate this complexity. However, if you look to Dubai, for example, we have the processes are fast, mostly controlled by technology. Dubai is going to now to handle the process, to automate the process by AI. And now the legislation will be reviewed by AIs as well. So basically, there is no interference from human being, but you need a lawyer who understands the two regulatory world and how. Because when a company comes to me in Dubai, want to put the structure, I cannot do the structure for the company in isolation with what happened in India, because there is a certain regulatory requirement I need to as well put it in mind while putting the structure for the company. When they do, there is a tax implication in both nations. So you need advisor who understand both nations and both challenge and how to come. So basically, the only way for us to really ease on the business, the legal infrastructure is good in two countries. They need to come too closer. We need to build the bridge and let the lawyers cross it and infrastructure. So that's where we can make understanding. Today in this world, it's not about you knowing about the legal system. It's about both of us to understand the legal system. What I seen from my practice, when I have people from international common law coming and giving us, telling us, oh, by the law is saying that, they have different perspective and understanding, which sometimes for me, I was like, oh my God, I never thought about it. I came from civil law jurisdiction. I never thought it, because it's all about understanding of legal system.
Right. I think Raghav can throw some light because Raghav is practicing in India and he also has a firm in Dubai. Raghav, what are the challenges you faced while you try to, please correct my facts if uh, uh, you have set up your firm in Dubai as well. So, what were the challenges you faced?
So we had to bypass the mainland route, because a lot of mainland licenses are not forthcoming, what I've seen, especially if you're a larger firm. Smaller boutique firms can still enter in, but I think the way around we found was get your management consultancy and legal consultancy done in mainland, get an office in mainland, and maybe for your legal, because a separate license for a law firm, that you can get done in the free zones. So that, because otherwise it's very expensive, and we need also a local shareholder. But I find that I think it's a good rule, because I think local shareholders are much better, I think, placed to advise Indian firms. So now we're now looking to get a mainland license in Dubai.
Was
as
it
well.
a very smooth process for you?
For us, a very smooth process. Because this is the main thing. A mainland license is the biggest thing, which a lot of people aren't getting. Actually, they'll be able to throw light, but according to me, it's very difficult currently for an Indian firm to come and get a mainland law firm license. That's what we feel.
I think one of the issues that we have to distinguish between setting up normal business and setting up regulated business. In any jurisdiction, whether you go to Singapore, UAE, legal firms are highly regulated because, for example, let me give you an example of us because we are regulated by Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs Department of Dubai, by central bank when it comes to the money laundering, by DFSA, which is the regulatory authority for the IFC, because we need to comply with money laundering, terrorist finance, and all of those regulations. So the legal practice by itself, it's a complicated process, and it's a regulated. Imagine that banking are regulated mostly by central bank or DFSA, depend where are you. But with the lawyers, we're regulated by that, by all of those bodies. So basically, and that it's make it a little bit challenging to set up business and to control the quality is very important because you want cream de la cream. For example, they didn't have a challenge because they have names, they have practice, they know what they are doing and all of that. And this is what the quality, good quality you want to bring to the jurisdiction.
Right, right. Thank you so much. Now, shifting my focus from business to arbitration, and Tariq, you are the person to talk about arbitration. So, there's been a lot of discussion about conduit jurisdiction and the ability of DIFC for the enforcement of the awards. Could you help me demystify what is possible and what is not?
Yeah. So this is something very interesting because I'm from common law jurisdiction, and when I moved from India to UAE, this is something I also found very strange. So what conduit means the gateway. So what essentially people are doing, I'll give you one example which we saw in front of us. So DIFC usually is a common law court. They have not adopted the UK law as it is, which is what ADGM has done. But common law court, what they do is common law to common law awards or judgments, they enforce. Now, what people are doing it as a part of the enforcement strategy, we saw one judgment come from India, and there was also a case, it can be same for the award also. Now, there's an arbitral award which you want to enforce and see the color of the money. And this is where the Indian businesses are actually struggling in India. This has been the biggest challenge. Enforcement is the only issue in India. Now, how people are using DIFC courts as a conduit, as a gateway to enforce the awards. Now, if you bring that award to me from India and you say, Tariq, this is the arbitral award, and I want to enforce it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to file an application for recognition and enforcement of that award in the DIFC courts. Now, the DIFC courts are very, very fast, and they will be enforcing that award, and there'll be a return date. That's what makes it a judgment of DIFC court then. So this award has now been recognized by the DIFC courts as a judgment of DIFC courts. Now this judgment can be enforced in more than 170 countries, which is why, because common law to common law you can enforce, but also you can enforce it in civil law jurisdictions because of the Riyadh Convention. All these civil law jurisdictions are signatory to it, which means they say that we will honor and the approach of reciprocity of judgments, right? You enforce our judgments, we will enforce yours. So what people do, once the DIFC courts recognize this judgment or the award, now you can take it to the mainland court with the support of DIFC, with a letter from DIFC. The new law of DIFC courts 2 of 2025, there are provisions given for this support with the local court. If there are assets within the mainland UAE, you can get those assets attached, even if DIFC had no connection with the matter. And in some cases, even if the award is pending challenge, the 34 is going on or 37 is going on in India, even then the awards have been enforced because civil law jurisdiction, they can enforce, because the New York Convention does not say it's a mandatory condition. There's a discretion. If the set-aside proceedings are pending, even then the award can be enforced in the courts. So that is how you actually get to see the color of the money. You can get the award enforced through DIFC by using it as a conduit.
Right, because there was yes.
I think one of the things, Tariq, as well, because we always talk about the enforcement, but during the arbitration event, if you have arbitration seated in India, you have interim relief, injunction, you have a disclosure, for example, order from tribunal. Always tribunal depend on the court. The court has authority, the court has the power to enforce. So basically, it means that you can bring it to the IFC, to Tariq, and enforce that. Because we need to realize that there is stuff, the arbitration start pre-arbitration, during, and after. Pre-arbitration, even still, you need the court. If you have, for example, wanted interim relief, for example, attachment on security bond, for example, you want to go to the court, for example. It might be seated in India, but still the asset and the company are belong to UAE, so you have to approach the local court because this bond issued by the bank, local bank. So that's pre-arbitration. During the arbitration, you need disclosure. You need, for example, sometimes interim relief to be enforced against the party. Then after that, you need the enforcement. In all process, the IFC can act as a conduit, taking this and make it as a judgment of the IFC, enforce it to other GCC, Arab worlds. Yeah. So it's a gateway for you. Like I said, in a business, Dubai is a gateway. Again, in a legal infrastructure, Dubai act as a gateway for you to do that.
Right, right. Because there was a lot of discussion on the enforcement. And I think with the conduit jurisdiction, it makes a lot more sense, right? Dr. Hussain, arbitration between Indian and Dubai entities are growing. So, do you see DIAC and Indian arbitral institutions are complementing each other in some way?
I think I will be candid in the answering. I think they are complementing each other because DIAC is catered for international and Indian for a local dispute, which is wrong as well because Indian institution has a recipe of international. They have good arbitrator in India. We nominated and appointed many arbitrators. They have good councils. They have good rules when it comes to the institutional rules. They have a logistic because you need centers, hotels, and places to hold all of that. And you have a judges who's very supportive for arbitration. I have seen them in the conference. They're very supportive. They're understanding. So you have the recipe of being international. But to be international, you need to go overseas. For example, we have seen ICC, for example, establish office in Abu Dhabi. Why? Because MENA region is 38 or 35% of the cases of ICC Paris comes from the MENA region. So why we don't cater it as well, Indian institution, but Indian institution have to start to go overseas. Like for example, if you come in Middle East, you know Hyderabad Arbitration Center. Why? Because they did effort to go overseas, do MENA, and this understanding will give the people comfort and familiarity with the Indian institution. And in arbitration, for example, an institution of India can manage and administer dispute, which is the seat could be the IFC, could be Hong Kong, could be that. So you enjoy if you don't like to having the judiciary over here, you will have judiciary in Singapore. If you feel this is fast, cost effective for you, you would go, for example, to Dubai, for example. So you have this opportunity. But honestly speaking, the institution has to do a little bit of effort, going overseas, reaching to the people, and because there is a competition on the business.
Right. Tariq, you have an extensive experience in the middle with the legal systems across the Middle East, and also you have been a registrar of IAMC. Now, how do you see systems differ from one particular place to another? And now you are heading the arbitration, international arbitration. You are the head of the international arbitration at M&Co. So, how do you see things changed across?
Okay, so if you're asking about the court system and how courts look at it, I'll answer that briefly. In terms of efficiency, I think that's the most important part. So having practiced in different courts in India and seeing the approach of the courts in the Middle East as well, I practice in DIFC, ADGM, and I have rights of audience in AIFC also, which is Astana International Financial Center. What I have seen is that in India, you usually take a lot of time in courts. And courts are great. We have some of the best judges. The lawyers are amazing. But because of the population, because of the pendency of cases, for various reasons, it takes a lot of time. I'll give you one quick example of last week, what I experienced as a lawyer. So there was an Indian client who I had to cater to in relation to one of the largest plants operating in Abu Dhabi. We needed an urgent stay. There was a shareholder dispute and stakes were 100 million plus. Now we needed an injunction ex parte. We didn't have the time, and the timeline, the contract period was expiring. I mentioned to the DIFC registry at 6 p.m. and I said, this is the urgency. We want the matter to be listed tomorrow. At 9 o'clock, we got the permission. The judge's availability was found. One of the English judges was available. The next morning at 11, the matter was listed. We prepared the skeletal, the witness statement, and all the bundle overnight. None of us slept. 11 o'clock, I argued the matter for about 2 hours and we got the injunction. Now, this kind of efficiency, I mean, I cannot imagine in any other court what I have experienced last week, and I got a positive injunction. This kind of, the whole team effort, not just the court, but also the registry, the whole system that, that flexibility that you get to be able to mention matters, speak on call, go visit them. And overnight, they were also working. We had to make the payment. It's a lot of process, but very efficient, very flexible, which I cannot imagine in any other jurisdiction. So in my experience, when you go to DIFC courts or ADGM court, the courts, especially these free zones court, are extremely efficient and perhaps better than many other Western courts also. And other than that, the beauty about UAE is that it's a civil law jurisdiction, but within that civil law jurisdiction, you get the flavor of common law also, which I think you get to enjoy best of both the worlds. And what Dr. Mahmood has been doing in the DIFC cases, he's been appointed, and very, very frequently he's giving expert reports and expert opinion on the matters which are concerning the public policy of UAE or any other issue in relation to the UAE law. So that interface, that intersection between common law, civil law, that is something you get to argue and enjoy in the DIFC courts, which I don't think in any Asian courts or courts of different countries you will be able to see. So that's one thing I think in which they differ, and the timelines are very fast. Here, a set aside or an enforcement may take forever, unfortunately. But in DIFC courts, I can just go, if you give me a judgment from Russia, from China, from India, I can just go and get it recognized ex parte. And the return date will be 14 days. And the other party has to appear. So they are that swift. And then attachment. And that can also lead to travel ban eventually if the person is not paying. So, there are consequences for not paying against the debtor. So it's not the defaulter's paradise is lost in true sense when it comes to countries like UAE, where these mechanisms are in place.
I think one of the things to highlight on Tariq's point of view, when we talk about legal infrastructure, people think when you say legal infrastructure, think that it's a building, it's a judges and lawyers. It goes beyond that, because I was part of the committee, first deputy registrar of the IFC court. So I know what is the process. This is a very important element. Now you have a technology element, you have a training of talent who work administer the court. So what they have done in UAE, as I said, the gateway for an Indian. For example, the software which is used mostly in the courts, which helped us to navigate the technology and be more efficient, is an Indian company provided. Let me give you an example. For example, the founder of Case Engine that we are using is an Indian and Emirati. And they came up together and come up with a solution. And they told us today they cater 800 legal firm worldwide. They're giving them the legal technology. So it's mean that the relation, even in not only the business, only in legal, the relationship is mixing together, and they're building a strategic partnership. Now, where is the element we are missing? We are missing two elements. We're missing the talented lawyer have to come to practice in UAE. The talented UAE has to take a part in India as well. Yeah. On the other hand, what we need as well, beyond that, we need the judges from India who retired to come and practice arbitration. Could be in our courts, for example, the IFC and ADGM, there is a lot of opportunity for them. Those are the elements that missing in our system. And third one, the Indian institution has to come to UAE as well, to have office, to cater to their clients, Indian client, to give options, because you have options. It's like a menu. As an institution, you give them. You want to sit in India, we can help you out. You take our rules, sit in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, wherever is closer to your business, closer to your party. You could agree with a party from Saudi Arabia. Let's have an institution run by, let's say, Hyderabad Arbitration Center, and then our rules, which is you are familiar. Applicable law could be Indian law, but the seat could be the IFC and ADGM. So basically, you can have this combination. So basically, we need an institution to come. We need and the practitioners to be there. We need the judges, ex-judges who retire with the knowledge, because they build the jurisprudence, and they have this jurisprudence has to be transferred from India to here, and from Dubai will go over the world, because Dubai is a hub and gateway for Indian technology and all of that. If Indian companies technology we were able to leverage from this relationship in a legal firm, in a court system. Technology is always in our firm has been Indian company has provided us with a solution.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Hussain, for explaining this. Raghav, coming back to you, you have a practice, given your practice in IPR. Can you explain how innovation-driven sectors are growing and how this entire ecosystem of and Dubai India legal corridors is growing in terms of innovation?
So businesses in general, I'll tell you, for example, I think Justice Kaul is now heading Bahrain. So from his judgment only in Nabawar, he had said that when you draft a contract between two businesses, you really have to look at the intention between the two people. I think there Dubai is far ahead of us, and a lot of people are catching on to that because Dubai puts a lot of premium on honesty and trust. It's basically a trust-based market. So I've been in Dubai otherwise also 10 years in businesses. So what I've noticed is they would enter into a contract, and the same in the tech space, etc. If they trust you, and they will not waste too much time in seeing whether a dispute will happen, will not happen, not too many delays. What ends up happening is that let's assume I have 10 business ideas. In Dubai, 8 of them will fly. Maybe out of them, 2 will have disputes. And because they don't really safeguard themselves, they don't worry about wasting time in overly safeguarding. In India, what I've noticed is out of those 10 only, because you spend so much time negotiating, make it hyper legal, you have only one business that flies. So now a lot of the new startups, they've caught on. So they want to actually go to Dubai because they say you want quick funding, you want quick work, and we trust you. I think that premium honesty we can implement here. India has a lot of potential, and they of course are the best partners. I think for us, we have a lot to learn from them.
What about legal innovation, tech innovations?
Yes, we have a lot of interest in Dubai. I have some startups who are doing cutting edge stuff registered in Dubai who are now selling their products in India. So I think Dubai is far ahead in terms of AI funding. Dubai actually is far ahead in terms of funding being given to AI and legal tech. India, sadly, because I also approached investors on behalf of my clients, are not very pro funding in legal tech or AI. India, most of their funding is going to gig worker like Zepto, etc. So there we need to have an institutional change, I feel.
I think you have answered my next question also when we are talking about how do Indian startups or IP-rich businesses approach expansion in Dubai.
Yeah, I think it's very easy, and they would have done a lot of that trademark registration. It was very easy, far quicker. Here, you are half the time doing clerical work with registries, etc. Dubai is far more streamlined. Dubai, if a dispute is going to happen, what the outcome will be. You can actually account for it a lot easier. India, you can't. There are too many variables in India. So India, you can never account for litigation costs or because you can't account for the delays. That way, I think Dubai is excellent. And in terms of a marketing hub, I think Dubai is the primary marketing hub of the world. So they would rather use that as some place to market their products and where they're safeguarded. So I think a lot of people are going to shift.
I think from my perspective is that technology is rewriting the rules of business. Today, look to one area. I was working in a telecom company and we were discussing telemedicine. Telemedicine could be doctor sitting in India, regulated by the authority in UAE, and giving advice to the client in UAE. And now you have fintech and blockchain. So would be a new future for all of us. Could be like Indian and Emirati, they would have like making agreement in a blockchain. All of that's in a blockchain. And then we have AI judge who will look to the dispute and adjudicate the dispute. Because, for example, you cannot deny that you send this email and this is your obligation. You put each one's in blockchain's obligation. The AI see in a blockchain when you have delivered your promises with the evidence, and then you have a judge, which would streamline. And this is the discussion in the leadership in UAE, how we can use blockchain technology to streamline the process of signing financial agreement even. For example, it could be automatically, for example, I go and take loan from the bank. So it's in a blockchain and this is my interest. If dispute happened, the AI would see, okay, as per the contract, you have to pay 10% because you delayed the payment didn't come and all of that. So this is the future. Technology will redefine our role as a lawyer. And people say, oh, technology will not replace lawyers. No, it will replace many lawyers. Certain lawyer will stay there but many of them would be because when you have a AI judge, for example, this discussion, the opportunity for you to appeal is limited. You have to see the process was the encryption was wrong, technology was biased, certain element which you need a lawyer to come and argue and prove to the judge. So it's mean that that future it will be rewritten by the technology.
Yeah, it's a very valid point.
Also, Dr. Hussain, Dubai's free zones and arbitration centers are attracting investors globally. So, do you see Indian companies are leveraging this?
I have seen Indian company is leveraging from this infrastructure. But one of my dear colleagues said is that you know the outcome and expectation, which is make the people moving from arbitration litigation to mediation. So what we have, this has been tested. This is when it was tested during Corona. There were massive dispute. With the amount of the business between India, we were able to help them with the mediation. Why? Because there is a cultural understanding and trust between the two nations. So when we started the negotiation, they would talk Emiratis about their experience being in Hyderabad. They went to Mumbai, they went to Kolaba, they were walking on the beach, and the other party would start saying, "Oh, we were in UAE and did that." So basically, there is a cultural understanding. And we are not intimidated by Indian. We see them as a friends and neighbors and all of that. And everyone Emirati goes, he either speak a little bit Urdu or Hindi, and he would have and even the foods menu is a similar. We understand them, they understand that. We are not intimidated by. We think they are neighbor and friends. So that's help in using mediation. So I've seen in the Corona a lot of mediation was very successful with the Indian parties and Emirati parties because they had a lot of understanding.
Cultural similarity. Yeah.
Culture similarity, and they
Absolutely.
wanted to continue the business, continue a friendship, and all of that. So basically, I think that was one of things, and there is no misunderstanding between them because sometimes culture is, for example, let me give you example. My friend, she's from US, a lawyer, one time came and met my client, and my client would start warming up the discussion. How is your family? How's your children? And she doesn't have a children. So, and she said, why he is asking about it? I said, this is how they warm up. With Indian, they would do asking questions and all of that. They would be very happy. Okay. And then they would speak a little bit. Oh, my mom came to Pune. My mom came this. And they started the discussion for 10 minutes. And then they will start getting to the business. When they shake hand means done. Done deal. We are agreed. So I think there is a lot of common understanding. And we need to utilize mediation because those two nations have a lot of understanding, historical, cultural understanding, which is very helpful
Yeah.
in using mediation.
And can I add just one thing? Because one of the disputes I settled as a mediator, just to add to what Dr. Mahmood said, the role that culture plays and our sentiments play in mediation. The dispute got resolved only because I understood as a mediator that both the parties, and this was 200 million plus, by the way, and they were both disciples of Sai Baba. So ultimately, because they were not able to agree on a common ground, so I said, okay, what if we get this decided in the temple of Sai Baba? And they both agreed without any question.
Wow.
Matter resolved.
Wow.
4 years they were fighting each other.
Wow.
And the other case where two brothers from a royal family were fighting, the elder and the younger brother, and just because the mediator said, why would you touch the feet of your elder brother if he walks in the room? He said, I will do because I respect him. And the moment he touched the feet, dispute resolved. They cried and hugged each other. So culture is very important for resolving disputes, like Dr. Mahmood said.
Right. So, coming to the end of this discussion, my last question to all of you is: what is the missed opportunity between India and India-Dubai relations, and what is the biggest strength that keeps this dynamic? So, right.
So missed opportunity, I can answer. If I
Yeah, please go ahead.
first. So I would say that the missed opportunity, and this is on part of India, is in relation to arbitration, because apart from being signatory to New York, we were the first few countries to sign the convention, the New York Convention, which means that we will be respecting the awards coming from the signatories. Now, what has happened is under the Indian law, there's an additional condition under section 44(2). Now, this condition under the Arbitration Act essentially says that Indian government will have to identify and recognize by way of an official gazette, by a notification, reciprocating territory for the purpose of enforcement of awards. Now, unfortunately, UAE has not been recognized as that, which has become a big problem, which is why you see all the work going to Singapore, London, and when naturally it should be coming to Dubai and India because of the geography, the connectivity, the culture, and the investments that are happening, and they are the largest second or third trading partner with each other. Now, what it means is that today, if you have Dubai as a seat, that award cannot be enforced here in Indian courts because India has not recognized Dubai, UAE as a reciprocating territory for the awards. They have done it for the judgments in 2019, which means a judgment of certain courts in UAE can be enforced here. But, and in fact, there is a treaty of 1999 which is in relation to judicial cooperation, summons, and for awards. But that ratification part is remaining, which is what India should do, which would be very good for all the lawyers here, and they will be able to, enter the UAE market and do more work there. I think that's because of the ease of doing business, it is something which is sine qua non.
And the biggest strength?
Like Dr. Mahmood.
I think one of the things to add to Tariq, I think what's untapped opportunity is the new growth in Africa. And Indian companies and Indian legal sector are not tapping to it because this is a new stories of business and growth is happening in India. India is set perfectly to tap on it because Dubai is a gateway for Indian business, and Africa connectivity with Dubai is a huge by transportation, whether port, whether air. So basically, that's a gateway for Indian company. They need to tap to Africa because I think Dubai has to be hub for them. From Dubai, they go to Africa because
conduit
there is
for business.
New growth is coming, new wave of the growth is coming, and it's a new story they are writing right now. So I think this is a missed opportunity for Indian companies not tapping really and not using Dubai as a gateway for them. I think the biggest balance, the biggest asset is not in the balance sheet, it's in the people. Indian has the biggest pool of talent in any industry. We in we have 3.5 million out of say 30 to 40% our population are Indian. We talk from this talent and we started with other talent we built and give opportunity. And this is what we promote in UAE. We have a pool of talent from all professional from all over the world. And some of them, they are from India. So basically, I think we need to tap to Africa and Indian business has to think about it.
And strength, I think that is, if you want to add something to
strength in relation to the legal landscape.
Yes.
I think the biggest strength for lawyers here in India and professionals like Dr. Mahmood rightly pointed is somebody like me who practiced all his life in India as an arbitrator, as a practitioner. I was very comfortable to go to UAE, be the head of arbitration, and I did not feel any change in the legal landscape. I argue matters. I'm doing arbitrations. We just got one very big matter dismissed on jurisdictional grounds, which I argued before a tribunal. And we are seeing disputes with connections from Bosnia, Paris, Switzerland, but only because of our expertise in the common law, being Indians, and the evolved jurisprudence in India. I'm able to really navigate easily because civil law jurisdiction and DIFC is still in the evolving stage of jurisprudence because these courts do not have that wealth of jurisprudence which we have in India. So I think the strength of Indian practitioners definitely lie there. The common law system really makes a lot of difference.
Right, perfect. Raghav,
they've summed it up with a couple of things. So actually in Africa, I was going to make the same point. So I think in the last 3 months, we've set up about 6 companies in Dubai who want to do business with Africa, Indian companies. And then they've realized that over the years, we are facing so much leakage and so much miscommunication. But we do not have a base in Dubai. I think Dubai is a perfect base for African business. And that's something we've realized. And now I got a lot more people coming to me and saying we want to trade with, let's say, Ghana or Nigeria or Tanzania. And we want it to be traded through Dubai. One, because disputes become a lot easier. Because let's say the dispute, then disputes can resolve in Dubai, which is not possible to resolve a dispute between India and let's say Ghana. It's impossible.
It's difficult, yeah. So using UAE as a
yeah,
gateway.
and second,
No, I think it's as well beyond that because UAE have signed 100 over 100 free trade agreements. Some of them with those companies. So what happens usually, those companies set up in Dubai in order for them to utilize this. And UAE government with a vast international relationship, they give them the support. For example, they consider you as a UAE company because you are in UAE. For example, no matter you are work as long you are working in UAE, so you are a UAE company. So it means that you can utilize this free trade agreement. And free trade agreement comes not only with removal of tax and tariff, it comes as well with a dispute clause. Means that, for example, if India doesn't have, for example, with X African country free trade agreement, they can set up in UAE, they can utilize, because each free trade agreement or bilateral agreement would have dispute resolution clause, which you can go for exit for other institution, and they have a process for international if the investor has a dispute with the government. So basically, that's very important actually for the investor, because that will, first of all, there is no tariff ease, and his investment would be considered as a foreign direct investment, which will be protected by the free trade agreement.
Right, right. Raghav,
No, and weakness by far, and I said this last year in an ICC event also, is definitely cryptocurrency. I mean, I think Dubai is so crypto friendly, and if we can adopt some of that or tie up with them, we have so much potential in India. And we have ring fenced everything in India. Crypto market is horrible actually for business. If we can adopt what they do, like in Dubai, we can actually buy property on in USDT.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, and if we can do that, I mean, it's untapped potential.
I think so. That's what the example I told you, how the blockchain and AI will be used in the contracts, because it's a very important
Even for enforcement,
for enforcement as well, because AI will enforce and will deduct the money from your account. So basically, that's one of that regulation of crypto and fintech has been really huge. Sandbox established by certain regulators. The regulator is more friendly, and instead of we do protection, as you said, we need to engage, we need to understand the industry, because we need to flourish.
right, right. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today. I think this discussion is going to strengthen the relations between India and Dubai, and definitely more opportunities might come up. And the idea of having more retired judges going to Dubai,
That
it's
you'll manage,
absolutely
I'm
best.
sure. You know
Yes.
all of that.
But thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you,
much for
Bhumika, on this.
giving
Really
your
Thank
time.
you very
Thank
much.
you.